Dear Melissa, you write a lot about product management as it pertains to product led organizations whose core business is developing and scaling tech products. However, I'm seeing a growing trend in the industry around traditional CIO led IT organizations also trying to become more product led. Even though these organizations may never build products themselves or may build products that they never commercialize in a way that tech companies do you have an insights on how these organizations should think about making this transformational change? It's interesting that you say this. I do talk a lot about SaaS companies, but I actually work with more non SaaS companies than anything else. So I've been part of a lot of these IT organizations that you talk about where it starts in the CIO's place. And that's because in a lot of organizations like pharmaceuticals, financials, insurance industries, going through digital transformations, automotive, even, we have these IT organizations that were traditionally seen as a cost center. So they start their digital transformation usually by adopting agile because the goal here is to make software better and faster. Then they usually come along and realize that they need some kind of product thinking in there. So I've seen many CIOs kick off and start these transformations, and it works out well to get it going. And the big thing that they do is they establish product management. And what they get to is they realize that when you are looking at building software that may never even be commercialized, it could be something for internal tools or software that your people use, but we're not actually selling to our customers. That's totally fine. What they do is they realize that at the same moment, you still need a strategy, right? You still need a software strategy to figure out if you're building the right things for internal users or for people who are using it inside. And the biggest mistake I see in organizations that start their digital transformation from a CIO perspective, which is not bad, is that we first look at it as a cost savings measure, but sometimes they don't grow out of that perspective. And we don't see software as a strategic advantage. So, this is the biggest mistake I see. We want to make sure that when we're building software, even if it's for our own people to use, that we have a way of making our products that we sell to our end users better, right? We should see it as a core differentiator. Let's take pharmaceuticals, for instance. A patient is never going to see the software that you build to run your clinical trials, but it's critical to your company. If you cannot run critical trials in a pharmaceutical company, you can't test your products, you can't get it out effectively to the people who actually need it. So let's think about that. If you're building software internally for these different clinical trial facilities to actually be able to use and run them, you have to see how that could be an advantage for you, right? Running clinical trials well, doing it more effectively, being able to make that more seamless, being able to have better results, all of that stuff could be a strategic advantage for a pharmaceutical company. Let's say you have software that allows you to do that 10 times better than your competitor. That's a competitive advantage, right? You are able to get things out the door faster to your customers. You're able to run clinical trials faster, anything like that. It could be also that maybe you set up clinical trials better. Maybe you have a software that has algorithms to actually predict that. So, in that case, you still need product management, right? You still need to look at it from being product led from a software strategy. How do we figure out how to make our products better by harnessing the efforts of software, right? That's what we're trying to do here. So no matter if you're selling financial products, if you're selling pharmaceuticals, if you're selling automotive cars, whatever, how do you use software as a strategic advantage? So there is a trend where a lot of CIOs are kicking this off because they're the ones leading the agile transformation and then they realize, "Hey, what are my product managers or product owners that we have actually doing?" That brings us into how do we become more product led? You could still be product led with physical products, right? You can still be product led with software that you don't commercialize. The mindset that we're talking about here is to see software as a strategic advantage to your overall business. Now, software may not be your overall business. That's okay. But you want to see it as that advantage. What could it do to make us better? That's the mindset that you need to adopt in organizations that are not traditionally SaaS. And that's the part that's going to make you more successful. So I hope that answers your question. I would really start there from a digital transformation perspective and make sure that you're honing in on why is software important for us and how can it make us 10 times better. So that's it for Dear Melissa today. If you have questions for me, go to dearmelissa.com and let me know what they are.